On this note, I start with Kweku. Kweku, what were your highs? What were your lows? What news item made your heart glad?
Well, many on both sides,
Right.
but we can't interrogate all.
Okay, yeah, so tell us about 3, 4 of them.
Look, I have to be very honest with you.
Right.
The declaration of Nana Akufo-Addo as president-elect is number one on my list. I have to be very honest with you.
Okay.
And I called him early Friday morning, congratulated him, and I told him, Nana, I am mad. I have to be honest with you, because he had really fought for it. The resilience, the endurance, the commitment. I've known Nana Akufo-Addo is getting to about 40 years. I was a foot soldier of the PMFJ when he was General Secretary. I've been with him as a colleague in the AFC. I know him. He defended the media, pro bono.
Yeah, pro bono, without
Yes,
any fee.
Yes, together with Akoto Ampao and the rest, his chambers. He stood by us. He's really contributed to this country's development. But the insults, the character assassination, and all, it was so worrying why one man could be criminalized, bastardized, demonized. So when the good people of this country decided to give him that emphatic victory, for me, it was a clean, clear vindication of what he had stood for all the time. I was damn happy. Let me be honest with you. The second thing that also made me happy was when the Supreme Court, though one judge, one justice, ruled that Woyome could be subjected to oral examination. I danced. I danced. Of course, my wife has warned me never to do that again. But I danced because he played a song that he knows has a spiritual effect on me.
Okay.
I don't joke with that song. I shake any time I hear it. And Kwame, I don't know whether he triggered me deliberately. But when the announcement came and it was played, I damn was happy. These two things, for me, made me very happy. Now the sad ones, do I have to proceed to the sad ones?
Yes, go ahead.
Look, it's also election related. Our chiefs, some of our chiefs, let me be very precise. And you can see what is happening with the Gbesi Manche thing. Now they are even telling us that what we heard him saying, God, that's not what he said.
Onuga.
Me, Inuga.
No, I haven't said it is you.
Oh, I know. Oh, but of course, I understand. Oh, I know. I got your drift.
I actually heard somebody say amongst them, among the chiefs, say that you have been vindicated on the statement you made on, I think you made it on Kokroko, and then you came here to retract and apologize when you said some of them were being unwise.
Yes. You see, the low point, you see what has happened? So here, and nobody is saying he should be distilled. They say abdicate because you pledged. So I read some statement they issued that there is a way to distill a chief. No. Our point is that step down. Look, all those chiefs that violated the Constitution, we haven't asked them to step down. We've only told them that they were unwise, they did the wrong thing against the Constitution. But in this case, the man said, I will step down if the NDC lost. They say he didn't say that, he was talking of the MPs. How? And yet he mentioned Ghana. What is this? I'm sorry. Excuse me. So that, for me, is a low point. I have to be very honest. And that's the last one. And I hope, maybe I'm exaggerating.
Your low point, you just mentioned one.
Yes, one.
That's
the last
chiefs.
one.
You are doing 3.
Oh, 3?
3, yeah.
Oh, look, the right to information
bill.
I'll be so sad if it's not passed before this parliament dissolves. I'll be so sad. We have fought for this. It's getting to close to 20 years in terms of advocacy. It's gone through so many parliaments and things. If they don't do it, the new parliament must resit on it.
Yeah, it starts all over again.
All over again. But I don't get it. So to be honest with you, I'm damn disappointed at what is happening in these last stages.
Some say that the NDC should suffer this. they had all the opportunity to pass it. They
Yes,
didn't pass it.
I agree.
Now they want the MPP to pass it so that they will now be able to use the Freedom of Information law to access information from government and to terrorize the MPP with it.
Well, I don't see it that way. Nobody will have exclusive preserve relative to this law. It's a law that cuts across. It's national. And we are interested. We civil society advocates, the media. We don't care the color of the administration in office. We don't care.
Right.
We are asking to be empowered to access information in order to use as part of our business. That's our advocacy. That's what we are interested in.
What do you make about the claim that there's supposed to be something that they are thinking about to include an implementation time span so that it will be implemented 5 years after it has been passed?
And that cannot be done before they pass. They're telling us, you see, the poverty of the rationalization, it's amazing. It's so manifest. It irritates me. It gets me off. Look, civil society groups should wake up. This matter was not being done as a partisan political thing.
Right.
That's not it, as far as I know.
Okay. So what will be your last issue?
That made me sad.
Yes.
Oh, I think, I'm not sure immediately I can think of anything. Let me stop at this.
Okay, so two critical things.
Okay, the last one too that I was happy about is the Supreme Court decision on the media content.
Okay.
The National Media Commission. That was also very important.
All right.
Considering how it would have sent us back relative to our liberal democratic culture.
Right.
You know, so that also...
But it places a huge responsibility on media owners, self-regulation.
Thank you. I agree.
Okay. Yes, Kwame, what were your highs, what were your lows?
Share quite a lot of what Kwekubaku has said, so I may end up parroting some of his. But Samson, for me, there were several low moments for me this year. On pain of sounding controversial, my lowest point was the entire saga of the Muntie 3. It's a lesson to all of us in how not to do some things. And then also, from the beginning, when they did what they did on radio, all the way to when they were released, it gave me a very, how do you call that, sunken feeling? You know, it was almost depressing that we've allowed ourselves to go this low with the power of radio or with the power of media, that this should happen and eventually should result in their, what's the word, remission?
Yes.
Remission of their sentence. For me, it was easily my lowest point. Very low moment that I pray should never be allowed to happen again. Never again should we, those of us on radio and television, those of us in the media, never again should we use the power of the media to so denigrate, malign, and insult people to the extent that a whole Supreme Court had to come in, the sentence was passed, and then the theater that happened afterwards, that culminated in a sitting president remitting their sentence, and it became what Egbert says, discussing it became the we and them, was so played out. I just hope it never happens again. My highest point, quite a number of high points, but my highest point.
Your low points, you just mentioned only one.
Well, I said I have a few low points, but this is what immediately comes to mind for me. And it is something that is what really gave me the lowest low. Okay. The whole saga of the Muntie 3. I think it was an embarrassing moment for all of us. Journalists, politicians, ordinary everyday Ghanaians, judges. It's a blot on our conscience, I think. Very big blot.
Was it really embarrassing? Was it really embarrassing moment for all of us, like you say?
Yes, when I say all of us, Samson, for me, as a journalist, it was embarrassing.
Oh, ministers were signing petitions.
What I do for a living has been so trivialized, so lowered, that this is what we use radio for. I felt low. I was like, is this what it is? Is this what it should be? And then the theater continues with educated, exposed, enlightened people who I thought or I believe know better, defending it, going ahead to do a petition.
Let's be fair on that score. It is a difficult fairness to require, but this is what they say it was. So let's keep it at that. They said that they condemned the acts, they condemned the utterances, but they were for the remission or pardon.
How did that play out in the public space? Does anybody really remember any minister or government appointee who strongly condemned it? Do you remember? You do? I don't. Maybe we heard, but I can peel off the names of those who signed the petition and advocated for the release. Big-time ministers, people you respect. And you see, because of what I've said about hypocrisy and dishonesty in this country, we all just sat back and just watched this whole theater play out. And eventually, the president did what he did. For me, the whole Munte 3 saga should never happen again, if we can. Never again should we let this happen to us. And then, as I mentioned, a few high points, yes. But my highest was, and still is, the general conduct of election 2016. There were anxious moments before that, especially when the first voting, the special voting was fraught with challenges and it didn't seem very tidy.
His name.
I'm sorry?
So you couldn't find
When my name vanished. But eventually it played out very well. I think the media did a fantastic job. The Electoral Commission eventually came out smelling good, in spite of all the little infractions, if you want to call them that came up along the way. And President Mahama's maturity, eventually, for me, is worth commending, considering the fact that Kweku Bako's very good friend, that boy in Gambia, as he prefers to call him, has done what he has done.
No, but some have said that you don't get to that example. It's too
extreme.
Not too extreme. It's a bit to the other side to say.
You mean a man is a madman?
To compare.
There's no comparison.
To compare it and say, and in fact there are those who are saying people said that Nana Akufo-Addo didn't have an option but to make the concession speech that he did for after the Supreme Court gave its judgment. So it's the same thing that applies to the president. He has no option.
Yes, maybe he didn't have an option. Maybe he didn't have an option. But at least he was man enough, mature enough, a good sport enough to walk up to the microphones. And I can tell you that I felt his pain. Looking at his face, his body language, you could feel that here's a sunken man. Here's a man who has been crushed. But he mustered the courage, stood before the cameras, and said what he had to say. And he didn't mention it in there, that this is not the result.
In the midst of his party people saying they were still cruising.
They were comfortably cruising to victory. I wonder which car they were driving. Overvoting into all those things came up. And so I want to commend the president also.
All right.
For that very difficult but necessary stance he took. And the incoming president was very magnanimous in victory. His victory speech or his acceptance speech, whatever you want to call it, was quite warm, that, there's competition and after that there should be cooperation kind of speech. It was easily my highest point. There were some anxious moments. Everybody was, that kind of thing. And by the 9th of December, it was done, dusted, wrapped. It was over. And I think we all should pat ourselves on the back.
Right.
We should look at the things that created the anxious moments for us and not go back on them or improve where we went wrong. But beyond that, we're looking forward to a good Christmas after all.
Interesting. Abdul Fawaz Fawaz Mabrok says the Munche 3, their incarceration by the Supreme Court and the subsequent pardon by the president, remission by the president ensured checks and balances in our democracy. So you get the point? Yeah, so I wanted to read it to you to hear. Egbert, yes, your highs and lows.
For me, let me start from my lows. I think that my lows, like Kwame to my left, I think at the Munche 3, and the remission granted them by President Mahama was a very low point for me as a Ghanaian, and I also think that it's a very low point for the Mahama presidency. Mahama himself has gone on record to say that history will judge him. And perhaps I think that maybe from today we can begin that process of judging. The Munche 3, certainly yes. I think that the 4th date, no matter the edict of charge, I think that the president should not have gotten himself entangled in that web at all. The presidency is the soul of the republic.
Okay.
And whether it was a bribe or a gift, let me say that President Mahama did not do well at all with that thing. I also say that the Smarties deal. I don't want to say that girl, like Okubaku would say that boy in Gambia.
Smart is the bus branding.
Yes.
Involving 3.6 million, 3.6 million of Ghana's oil revenue.
I think it was bad out and out. Cooked, created, looted, and shared. For me, I would say that. And then, of course, another controversial one, the Bugri Nabu money and car. Okubaku doesn't like to talk about the money because he has a different view, but he concedes the car. That the car is evidence. Yes.
Evidence.
Why should people close to the president in their quest to see the president re-elected for office? Why should you go into an opposition camp and pay bribe for Nana Akufo-Addo to be denigrated as being, a tribalist? Now we've come full circle. Why? This, is sad. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad. And I think that President Mahama should purge himself and his followers of some of these things so that we may consider an apostolic forgiveness of some of the sins of his presidency.
Okay, so you started with your lows, your highs.
Why? It's a gift.
The car and the money.
It's evidence. It's evidence.
Spent.
It will be used till there's a judicial inquiry.
The
Then we'll present it as
president-elect give a pledge that the vehicle and the money will be retained.
Yes,
definitely.
And I suppose including the one that...
So they shouldn't ask me.
You've told us that the money has been chopped.
No, he chopped 100.
He didn't chop any 100. Anyway,
He chopped 100.
my high point.
It is 500.
Yes.
And he put 400 in
The
there.
pay-in
in the
slip.
account.
Have you seen the pay-in
So where's
slip?
the
I've seen a paying slip.
It's
How much is on it?
400,000.
Yes, no problem.
So where's
where's
the
the
100?
The other has been invested. Tell you bills. Tell you bills. My high point for me, it was an elixir. The announcement that Nana Akufo-Addo is president-elect. The MPP has been long-suffering. Nana Addo himself has been long-suffering. If you saw the election petition, I mean, the kinds of things that went on, I said, no. There is something really wrong. And beginning the 2016 election, this country has set itself on a path that nobody, even if elections would not be perfect, nobody can manipulate any electoral system in this republic again going forward. You win, you win.
So one of the judges said the elections will never be
It will never be the same again. So those who saw the election petition as a waste of time, for President Mahama himself, he infused his followers with this position that he couldn't work for 9 months and all the rest of that. But the dividend is what we've seen today.
But that was not what he said earlier.
Yeah, Ghana's electoral
system
was on. Yes, Ghana's electoral system will not be the same again because of the 2012 election petition. And the man at the center of it all, Nana Akufo-Addo, Ghanaians have rewarded him with the resounding victory.
Okay.
In a commanding lead. In a comfortable zone.
Okay. So high points. That's just one.
Oh yeah, for me that's all. That's all. Democracy, change of government is good. I mean, that's all I'm concerned about. Everything else is bonus from God.
Should it happen and you on the other side, will you sit and say change of government is good?
It depending on the antecedents that result in that, I may say so.
If your party loses
But
power.
I can assure you that the MPP will work, Nana Akufo-Addo will work very well said that Ghanaians will even restate their faith in him. And become
Some of the messages here, this one from Rabiu, Salifu Rabiu, minister in Boga. He says that God bless you and Newsfile for all that you have done, and we wish you the best of 2017. Yarig Elvis says, my highest point was Nana's win, and my lowest moment was when I saw the election results from the Talinsi, Nabdam, Bongo, and Boga. I was really disappointed my people were not politically savvy and continue voting one-dimensionally. Papa Amua says, I salute Uncle Kweku, Bako, and KSK. They have displayed maturity and objectivity in their submissions. Cabal, 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 to the point 3. Benjamin,
we are supposed to be members of the cabal.
Benjamin Kobina Amua says, what didn't make me proud as a Ghanaian happened on the eve of election 2016. You knew you were not in a comfortable lead, and you told Ghanaians that you were in a comfortable lead. It's not the hallmark of a Ghanaian statesman, Okay, so you are sending this from Elimina. I'll return and read a lot more of your messages. So just stay. All the messages you have sent in, I'm going to read them. I'll be right back.